This video will talk about an introduction to for loops and while loops in Python. A for loop is used to execute a block of code a certain number of times. They are typically used when iterating through lists, tuples, and strings. The syntax for a for loop in Python begins with the word for. Add a variable name, type the word in, and whatever block you want to run, such as a list, dictionary, or strings. Here we have a basic example of a for loop, and our variable that we define is called fast foods, which is assigned to a list of strings, which is pizza, pita, and fries. And below it, we have a for loop in which we define a new variable x, which has access to the variable fast foods by the variable in. And then at last, we have a print statement which prints x, and the results are shown below, which is pizza, pita, and fries. A while loop generally executes only when the condition is true. You add an incrementer, or else the loop will execute infinite amount of times. You can also use continue and break statements to prevent loops from going infinite amount of times. A continue can stop the current iteration and continue to the next, whereas the break can stop the entire loop once a certain condition is met. Here's an example of a while loop using a break statement. Here we have a variable called I, which is defined to 2. And then underneath it we have the while statement, and then we have a Boolean condition which is set to I is less than 6. And then inside the while loop we have a print statement which prints the results shown towards the right based on the statements below. And inside the if statement we have I is equal to 5. That just means like once I reaches 5, that program stops. It just completely stops, which is why we use break. And then outside the if statement we have I plus equals 1, which acts as the incrementer. And in this case we're incrementing by 1. And then based on all of that we have the output 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's an example about continue. This one is similar to the one we saw before, but except using break we use continue this time. So they're slightly different, as you can see with the output. This time the output is 3, 4, 6. Because once I is equal to 5, the program no longer stops, but it stops the current iteration, but then moves on to the next. And the reason why it stops at 6 is that's all the condition is set to, which again, we get the output 3, 4, 6. So in conclusion, as you gain more experience with coding in Python, you'll be able to efficiently use loops and make a mini program about displaying lists and displaying number results. You will use loops throughout your career, so understanding its general meaning, its function, and looking at some examples will help aid you in becoming a good coder.